YouTubers, hey, I'm back with another book review, part of the 25 books of 2025, according to 2024 October time. And until this moment, I don't even know what this book is. It's banned. I was in Uxbridge Library the other day, and they had a stack of these just kind of like hanging up. So I was like, I'm going to read a mystery banned book. So until this moment, I don't even know what's in this book. All it says is banned promoting drug use. Okay, that's all I know. Okay, about this banned book. So interesting kind of thing. So until this moment, till I actually open it, I don't even know what's in this book. So gonna be interesting front cover, okay, as well, because obviously when I upload it, it's gonna have a picture saying banned, and then together we're gonna find out what this book is. Right, so let's open it up. Let's find out. hmm Like Christmas, like Christmas. Are you kidding me? It's Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This book came out in like 1864. Actually, came out twice. 1864 it came out, but it's full of errors, which are now worth millions, by the way. And in 1865, yes, I know that. I absolutely know when this book came out. A book that came out in 1865. Disney did a film, okay? Sterling Holloway was the voice of the Mad Hatter. Yes, Winnie the Pooh was the voice of the Mad Hatter in that. And I am going to now review Alice in Wonderland. To all people who actually follow my channel, it's going to be quite interesting. Okay, well, I've got to read this. I've got to review this. I haven't read this book in years. Okay, I'm going to be reviewing Alice in Wonderland. It's because it's banned for promoting drug use. Okay, I'll be back with the actual review. The banned book is Alice in Wonderland. Sign off here. Bye now. Oh, banned book time. Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. But that was last year. I opened the book, and this is actually March 2025. I'm recording this, and this needs to go back to library. There's everything saying, you read it too much, send it, give it back to us, Jodie. So it's going back to library today. Anyway, Alice in Wonderland is a banned book. So here we are. Now, I found a really good website by on the Medium, really good article. I'm going to actually link to it. Here we are. In 1865, it does not seem to have come under critical fire until the 20th century. In 1931, for example, it was banned in China. Much like Winnie the Pooh, its use of anthropomorphic animals was an offence to God. Meanwhile, in the US, it was banned in the 60s and periodically ever afterwards for supposedly promoting drug abuse, famously the hookah smoking caterpillar, and its instructions to consume the size altering mushrooms. Okay. Perhaps strangest of all was the incident of its banning across New Hampshire public schools in 1900 for promoting self-pleasure and sexual fantasies. Here we are. So, it's a kid's book. This article was actually written by Kathleen Nelson. Very, very good one, published in 2021. I'm going to link to it. It's a really good article on the website The Medium. So, it's a banned book. I read a banned book. So not what I was expecting, because I read this book years and years ago. I was just going and read Alice in Wonderland, so it was nice actually rereading it again. One of the female protagonists, 1865, and here we are. Alice's adventures leads her down the rabbit hole into Wonderland, where she meets an array of curious characters, including the Mad Hatter, the Mock Turtle, and the Green Cheshire Cat. Okay, everyone knows the plot of Alice in Wonderland. She finds the White Rabbit, falls down a hole, rises in Wonderland, goes on fantastical adventures, and it's interesting too because hey, it's in the public domain. I mean, there have been so many versions. There's been the one by Walt Disney with Johnny Depp. There's been the animated film from 1951, if memory serves. There were so many adaptations of Alice in Wonderland. So, hey, oh, The Matrix. The Matrix, okay, Follow the White Rabbit, okay? So that's alluded to in so many texts and medium, okay? This is the original text, published by Lewis Carroll, Reverend Dodgson, as 1865. So, opens up with, here we are. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and having nothing to do. Once or twice she peeped into the book her sister was reading, but I had no pictures or conversations. What is the use of a book, she thought Alice, without any pictures or conversations? So that's the thing. She starts off with a bank by a river, sees the white rabbit, as you do, and decides to follow it. And the thing is with Alice, okay, is Alice, her age is never actually mentioned. She's believed somewhere between the age of probably 9 to probably 12. But she has had some education, but it's just a grasp on it. I mean, she has an older sister and also an older brother he gets a mention too, and never named. Here we are, right. I had to learn several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and though it was a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, there's practically no one to listen to, still a good practice to say it over. And yes, that about the right distance, but then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. I still not decided to deal what latitude or longitude was, or longitude either. So latitude was or longitude either, but I just thought they were nice grand words to say. It was when she's falling down the rabbit hole. It's like, I'm going to say that because it's a nice thing to say. I don't want to say them to you, but I'm so intelligent. I am absolutely so. Remember, Alice is a Victorian girl, so she is being kind of like prepped and molded. Her class actually has a school mom and a governess and a schoolroom. She's kind of probably the upper middle class, okay, kind of like echelons, okay, probably the bourgeoisie kind of thing. So this is her imagination. If you go with the story, okay, that she's just it's just her dreaming, but of her education, and it's quite interesting too because she's a effervescent child as well. Now, of course, being a Victorian child at this period, okay, you were being moulded into being, prim, a proper lady. In a way, Alice is letting loose. Alice is absolutely letting loose with all this, okay. And one thing I absolutely love is Lewis Carroll's wordplay. He's kind of wordplay on this, and even how it mocks the language itself. I mean, this bit here is very, very famous. Curiouser and curiouser. That's a famous quote, okay? Everyone knows that. Cried Alice. She was much surprised that for much she's quite forgotten how to speak good English. I like the fact, okay, that Lewis Carroll is mocking words, mocking word, okay, mocking puns. This is a very much a pun-filled novel. And one thing I did not realise is because I was one of my favourite versions, okay, is the Disney version from 1951 because I find the story cold, but the colour is amazing. Okay, this was one of the first Disney films set post-war, and the colours are so inventive. Is various things that you take for granted are not in this book. They're in Alice Through the Looking Glass. So, like Tweedledum and Tweedledee are through the Looking Glass. The Jabberwocky is through the Looking Glass. The Horse and the Carpenter, that's also through the Looking Glass. Right. We get the Mad Hatter and the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, but a lot of things that we don't get. So, and when it comes to the way she acts, the way how she should be acting, okay, is when she comes across the bottle saying "drink me," right? It's there's no label, but with the words "drink me," but nevertheless she uncorked it and put it to her lips. I know something interesting is sure to happen. Whether I eat or drink anything, so I'll just see what this bottle does, and I hope it makes me grow large again. From for what really I'm quite tall of being such a tiny thing indeed. Interesting too, because at this book, Alice grows and shrinks several times. Drink me, eat me, the mushroom, okay, with the caterpillar with the hookah that got this book banned. So interesting too, okay, it's she grows in size throughout this entire book. A kind of metaphor for childhood. Now, in a way, she's a pubescent woman, if you will, a pubescent child, but however, she elevates in stature, she goes down in height, especially comes to like social atmospheres, if you will. If that makes sense. This book makes no sense. But her growing and shrinking throughout the entire book is kind of a metaphor for childhood. At various points, okay, you are forced to become older than what you are, and are forced to be younger than what you are. In people's eyes, okay, you are a young adult, but in other people's eyes, okay, you're still a child. In your own eyes as well. One minute, okay, you want to be grown up, but then you want to be a child again. It's a nice metaphor. Very, very nice, if you will. And one thing I absolutely loved about this book is Alice goes through this book and like she meets the various characters, okay, like the Mad Hatter who keeps calling her Marianne. Whoever Marianne is, I've got absolutely no idea. Okay, Marianne is never ever known. Okay, what if there's like a fan fiction out there about Marianne's life? Okay, so but the thing is this: when Alice has had enough of the situation, she quits it. She makes the Duchess, okay, sing about her little boy who she beats when she teases, okay, and but the thing is this: when she's had enough out, and the actual baby turns into a pig and runs off, right? Is when Alice has had enough of the situation, she doesn't stick around at the prima proper Victorian lady. She quits the sphere. She's definitely the embodiment of screw you guys, I'm going home. She leaves. She's like, I've had enough of this. I'm walking out. That is a direct counterpoint of how she should behave. She just sits there, okay, and kind of take this. You're in this mad situation. We're at a tea party. Everyone's insane. She's like, I've had enough. I'm going. In a way, okay, it's very, very refreshing that she acts like this. Now it's easy to see how dated this book is, but for a Victorian child reading this book, it's a way of Alice would behave in how you wouldn't, which is probably quite cathartic. Quitting the sphere, speaking up, being rude, being obnoxious. One thing I loved about Alice is such a hypocrite. Okay, she's prim, she's proper, she's a mouthy, she quits the sphere, she doesn't hold back. So there you go. And once again, a really good example of Lewis Carroll's wordplay here, right? Is when he's talking to the Duchess. If you mind your own business, the Duchess said, that world will go a deal faster than what it does, which would not be an advantage, said Alice, who felt very glad to get an opportunity of showing off a little bit of her knowledge. Just think what work it would make with a night and day. You see, the Earth tilts 24 hours to turn on its axis. Took enough axis, said the Duchess, chop off her head. Right, here we go, if you will. Axis, that. Absolutely. And one thing I also love when it comes to Alice is she doesn't hold back on how she describes people. I mean, she's just holding the Duchess's baby, which turned into a pig in her arms. And a reaction to this, I love this. I absolutely love this. If it grown up, it would have made an ugly, say dreadfully ugly child, but it makes a rather handsome pig. And she began thinking of other children she knew who might do very well as pigs, and saying to herself, if one only knew the right way to change them. Right. It's like, yeah, tell the people she hates into pigs. Turn them all into pigs. So she says the things that most of us would never ever say. And then we get to the famous Mad Hatter's Tea Party. I need to actually drop this line is when everyone's talking about riddles, right? Scholars have spent over 150 years, 1865 after all, discussing this. The famous riddle, okay, from the Mad Hatter. Why is a raven like a writing desk? Here you go. And of course, Alice doesn't know, because no one knows, because it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I'm going to put a link to it, okay, where people think what it means, okay? But it means nothing. It's Wonderland. There are no rules here. Absolutely no rules. So, going through this adventure, lots of poetry in this book too. Okay, it's one thing I love is as you get further towards the end, is Alice's spine. She really, really speaks up against authority, and I absolutely love that about her. Remember, as I said, this is a book where she would behave as a Victorian child would never. Here you go. As one, okay, she's met the famous playing cards of the King and Queen, okay, and here we are, and now Painting the Roses Red. That's a great song. Here you go. And then ask her, who are these? Again, who are you, basically? And this is Alice. She's like, oh, how should I know? It's no business of mine. She was surprised by her own courage. The Queen turned crimson with fury, and after glaring at her for a moment like a wild beast, began screaming, off with her head, off with nonsense. She's had enough of everyone's drama. And this is kind of like a great kind of metaphor for childhood. Now, this is kind of like a very kind of childish world, okay? It's a world, okay, where there are no rules, nothing makes sense. She's called Marianne, for God's sake. Who the hell is Marianne? Right. And in the end, he's had enough of everyone's nonsense. In a way, she stopped kind of quitting the sphere and walking away. She's turning around again saying, I'm done with the drama. Okay, in a way, it kind of like shows her kind of symbolic growing up. Now, as you get older, one of the first things you start doing, even to your loved ones, is rebelling against authority. Okay, and you can't help it. I mean, the fact is, okay, as you're growing up, you're always much more harsher towards the people who you love because you know no matter what you throw at them, they're going to love you, hopefully. Okay, so yes, absolutely, absolutely. So this is Alice growing up. She's not walking away anymore. If she is, okay, she's actually returned. She actually walks away from the King and Queen, okay, of cards, the King and Queen of cards, okay, or the Queen of Hearts, that's it. But then, okay, but she later returns. She later returns again, actually sees how this all plays out. And once again, okay, all the actual players we've met so far start showing up. The Mad Hatter, the Dormouse, okay, and this bit here, right. I'm a poor man, Your Majesty. This is when, okay, there's like a trial for Alice, you know, trouble for head. I don't know. I'm a poor man, Your Majesty. I hadn't begun my tea, not above a week or so, with the bread and butter getting so thin, and the twinkling of the tea. The twinkling of what? It began with the tea. Of course, twinkling begins with a tea, said the king sharply. You take me for a dunce? Go on. That's the kind of thing. Once again, Lewis Carroll's wordplay comes in, his puns, his metaphors. This is such a cleverly written book because eventually it's a story about a young girl kind of going through her head. But even if you take the whole kind of it's all a dream, even in this dream, okay, you show Alice's maturity. She doesn't start walking away from her situation anymore. She starts walking back to it. She will confront the issue head on. She will call people out, okay, on their nonsense. She's actually done with everyone's crap. And I love her for it. I absolutely love her for it. And after okay, once again, thanks because the marshal case, I was drinking and growing again, okay, is when the queen is screaming it off with her head. She does that a lot. It's who cares for you? So she had grown up to a full size this time. You're nothing but a pack of cards. Now, I guess people, okay, are because remember Queen Victoria okay, was on the throne at this time, so you kind of can imagine the Queen of Hearts and the stepping okay of Queen Victoria. You can imagine okay that Lewis Carroll okay was against I don't know the monarchy if you will okay by having a child grow taller okay and screaming we don't care anymore. The thing about this book is that as it's so textured and layered, people spent so many years kind of analysing this book. However, it's above all though, it is nonsense. In the end, okay, Alice, okay, she destroys okay the house of cards. She destroys kind of like her dreams, and then she wakes up on the bank of the river with her sister. Right. So it is an incredible, incredible book. I mean, the fact is, okay, here you go. It's here. Perhaps even with the dreams of Wonderland long ago, and how she would feel all the simple souls and find a pleasure in her life, in their simple joys, remembering her own child life and a happy summer's day. Right. So it's when Alice okay, is looking back, rather okay, her sister's looking back. So it's a very, very interesting texture story. Yeah, I kind of see why it was banned because it's all over the place. People spent over 150 years now, okay, trying to, you know, uncover the truth behind it. It's a very, very clever book. I mean, I can see why it was banned, but it didn't need to be. Above all, it's a children's book. It's a children's book, but however, at the time it was a sensation because Alice reacts in a way that a Victorian child never would. Reading this book, being a young Victorian girl, I guess what Alice goes through, okay, and what she does in the end, flying her spine, growing up, speaking up against authority, having enough of everyone's drama, would have been so cathartic. They would have been raised in a way to be so prim and proper, in a way she reacts of how they wanted to be. Right. So, this book is very textured and layered, and I can see why it was banned, but I guess rereading it was an absolute, absolute joy. And I guess, listen, it's never been out of publication, and it's in the public domain, so I enjoy it. So I absolutely love that in The Matrix, Fire the White Rabbit. Anyway, sign off here. Bye now. Actually, let's think about The Matrix. Both those films kind of allude, okay, to media that have various young female protagonists. You have allusions to The Wizard of Oz, allusions to Alice in Wonderland. What those books have in common is that they were written in a Victorian period. Well, one's American, that's 1900. However, they both have strong female protagonists. Anyway, sign off here. Bye now.